What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? It's your boy Mike Robinson, and this is another episode of Let's Take a Walk. I hope everybody had an amazing week. I definitely did, and we made it here safe. So we got a lot to be thankful for. So, as usual, tonight, El Talk brings you the most thought-provoking, interesting bosses that we can possibly find, and tonight is definitely no exception to the rule. Tonight we have Miss Amber Krystal, aka the Beauty Coach. She's a licensed esthetician. We're going to talk about that because I'm not exactly sure what that is, but she's an author. She's an actress. Oh, I see here she's an ordained minister.
My goodness,
Um, Listen, she parted the Red Sea.
I can't.
She climbed the Mount Everest.
I'm
She
screaming.
ran with the bulls, and
My
no,
goodness,
I'm kidding.
too funny.
But she does so many things. For those of you who may not be familiar with Miss Amber and her movement, I'm going to give her a moment to kind of reintroduce herself and just give a little background to who she is and some of the things that she has going on. So, with that being said, Miss Amber, you have the floor.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me.
Absolutely.
Everybody, just excuse me. I just flew back from Buffalo and Florida, so I caught like a little flu or a cold or something. But I am a board certified licensed esthetician. I'm an instructor as well. I actually teach students about the histology and the physiology of the skin. Um, I am an ordained minister, yes. Also, I have done a couple of movies, been in a couple of magazines, things of that nature. Um, but most importantly, I love coaching people into a better version of themselves. And that's what the beauty coach is all about. It's not about external beauty, but it's about internal beauty.
Mhm.
Um, I'm an introvert, a need be extrovert. So you might see me get like a little excited tonight when I start talking about passion, um, passionate things rather that I care about. But other than that, this is pretty much my temperament, just kind of low key.
Gotcha. Okay. So let's start from the beginning. Like,
Okay.
where does all this begin? Like, where does Amber discover her love for all things beauty, all things, positive mindset? What's the origin of that?
Okay, so we'll start with, I guess, the aesthetics, and then we'll go into the beauty coaching. As a little girl, while my brothers and sisters were playing, I was actually in the back room in my bedroom, just playing in makeup, playing in paint, playing in stuff. My daddy is a painter, but he paints walls and murals, and my brother is a painter. And a lot of people in my family are very talented when it comes to painting, but I paint faces. I also do special effects as well. So that's pretty much where it came from. It came from the family. When it comes down to me being called the beauty coach, it actually came from a personal place in my life. At one point in my life, um, I didn't feel beautiful about myself. I didn't like myself, and I would have to say it started in high school, and it just kind of carried out through my life. And then I would say at the age of 30, I started to really pray about who I'm supposed to be. But it was in my 40s when I had the awakening. And then, of course, I went through some traumatic personal things that led me on a God led sabbatical. And it practically led me in isolation. And that's when the beauty coach was actually birthed. And
Mm,
a lot of people, as I stated earlier, they have a misconception about the beauty coach because they hear the word beauty and they think that is external, but it is deeply internal. Um, and like I said earlier, it's a personal thing. I did not feel beautiful from within, and you can wear the makeup and have your hair done and have on the nice clothes and be popular or whatever the case may be with you. Um, but if you don't feel beautiful from within, all of that can't heal you. You have to go from within and heal from within and confront from within, um, to actually, you know, finally feel beautiful about yourself.
Absolutely. And you kind of stole my thunder. I was going to ask you, like, when you say the word beauty, like when
Mhm.
people say the word beauty, what is the definition of beauty? And I ask that because, being a person who struggled with self-image and
Mhm.
self-esteem as growing up,
Yes.
I was always curious about, and it's funny. Um, what's it like to be beautiful? Like, what is it like? You know what I'm saying? Because I look at people that I would deem,
Hmm.
beautiful or whatever, and I always wondered to myself, what's it like for that person? You know what I mean? But back to the question,
Right.
what is beauty? What can that be defined as?
All right. So if I can say it like this, I've discovered that true beauty, is being healed, whole, and mature. And
Mm,
once you are healed, whole, and mature from within, it's going to actually show itself from without.
mhm,
So I know a lot of people have heard the popular term about glowing. Glowing can come from many different things. I know for me, it has come from me healing from a lot of mistakes that I've made in life. A lot of things that I walked in deliberately, a lot of things I didn't walk in deliberately. I had to find myself. It's almost like that, my glow. Let me just, you know, talk about it personally. My personal glow is from me finding my true, authentic identity and calling. I think when you speak of beauty, of course, the world has its definition of what beauty is. Um, but I found something different in my sabbatical about beauty. And interesting enough, I found it about me. I found that I wasn't as beautiful as I thought,
mm,
because it's not about external. It's about the internal and what's going on within your soul, your spirit. And whatever's going on within your soul and your spirit, it's going to manifest externally. So, yes, people look a certain way because of their genetics, but I've discovered that, and I'm gonna use this word. I don't know how people gonna take this, but I'm gonna use this word, shape shifting. Um, People can shape shift when they go through a lot of trauma, when they have a lot of trauma inside, when someone is pulling on their spirit. They can actually go from not being so attractive to actually looking old,
mm.
because they actually have someone pulling on their internal, and it's actually manifesting on their external. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. So when a person is in a negative place in their life, it can actually play a part in how they look on the outside. Like it actually can.
You have no idea. I've been there when I was going through just a lot of personal things. When I was going through my divorce, um, just many different things. I noticed that I was not only losing weight, losing more weight because I'm already small,
Mhm,
but it was almost like the glow or the beauty that people see now. I didn't see that then because I was so stressed out. And this is what I want to say about this. It does not matter if you have all the money in the world. It does not matter if you have the best successful career in the world. None of that is going to help you heal, become whole, and become mature, and even make you look your best. You've got to go from within. And a lot of people actually find their true calling when they actually do begin to heal. Because guess what that means? You have to separate yourself and set boundaries with the very people, person, place, things, or ideas that kept you in what I've called the sunken place. So yes, it is true. It can actually show up on you externally when you're going through a lot of turmoil. And it doesn't have to necessarily be personal relationship. It's everything. You
Right.
know, a lot of people don't realize sometimes you got to even separate yourself from family
Right.
that are very toxic and dysfunctional. I know a lot of people have their different views on that. I was just talking to a family member yesterday about that. If they're toxic, if they're dysfunctional, if they're narcissistic, I cannot be close up proximity with them, because what happens is the what's going on with them, it'll actually transfer over to you if you're
Right.
not in a good place.
Right.
And I
Right.
like to stay in the place that I'm in, so I don't allow anything or anyone to change what has been done internally.
I think that and that's interesting, absolutely interesting what you're saying.
Mhm.
I think that a lot of times people will look at you and you remind them
Mhm.
of either what they're not doing or what they wanted to do but never had the courage to do,
Mhm.
or
Yes.
it just reminds them of their wasted time or their wasted moment or opportunity. And that is probably the worst feeling, because there's nobody that you can blame. There's no remedy for it. You just have to you just kind of have to deal with it and move forward in it. Um, just to kind of piggyback off of what you were saying, family is the hardest, because
Mhm.
sometimes, in some cases, they tell you things thinking that they are looking out for you. Like they
Mhm.
thinking that they're doing you a favor.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They tell you, hey, I know somebody that's trying to do what you do, or that tried to do what you're doing now, and
Yeah.
they didn't make it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? They lost a lot of time and money and blah, 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 blah. So maybe you might want to backtrack on this. Maybe you might want to
Mhm.
rethink this thing for a second.
Mm.
And in their mind, they really feel like they are having your best interest.
Yeah.
But what it is that it's trying to squelch your enthusiasm. You know what I'm saying? And that's never a good thing. Let me ask you this. Um, in your experience, what would you say is the biggest mistake that people make when it comes to um being beautiful, or their thoughts on being beautiful, or the just that whole thing? What's one of the biggest mistakes that people make?
um I'm gonna just go spiritual for just a little second with this one. Okay,
Okay.
so I know for me, back in my 30s, as I stated earlier, I was in prayer about my identity.
Hmm.
And one of the mistakes that I made was trying to be like someone, watching and looking around my environment and saying, okay, well, if I look like this, if I dress like this, if I talk like this, if I move like this, if I do everything like this, then I'll be accepted.
Hmm.
Um, One of the things that I've discovered is if people put as much energy as they do in looking at somebody else's life, whether it be their social medias and what's going on, if they put that much energy in themselves, um, they would actually see their calling and their destiny come into fruition. And not only that, before you even get to the destiny and calling, you got to get inside together first. See, a lot of people want to jump to what they see others are doing, but there was a suffering that they went through to get what
Right.
they got.
Right.
And one of the sufferings is not being like everybody else, not following trends.
Facts.
I think the mistake that I've seen just in my 44 years and just being around and on social media and just life itself, is that people are trying to find, or I should say it like this, people are actually looking at other people's lives and trying to duplicate their life after that.
Hmm.
Whether it be in word, whether it be in whatever the case may be. And a lot of times, what another is doing is not even for you.
Right.
See, that goes back to identity. It goes back to knowing who you are. It goes back to healness, wholeness, and maturity. Because healness, wholeness, and maturity will lead you into all truth, even about
Mm.
yourself. And so that's what has happened to me. There's a lot of coaches out here. I've even seen a lot of people that have beauty in front of their name or with their name when it comes down to coaching. But I'm different. My different is a present, because I've been through a suffering for
Come on.
this.
Come on.
And it's different when you've actually suffered for your calling. It's different when you've suffered for the destiny.
Mm.
It's more impactful. It's more authentic. It doesn't matter if somebody's trying to copy it. They'll never get the same results that you get.
Come on.
And see, that's a waste of time,
Hmm.
because now you're trying to copy after me, uh, with whatever you're doing, and you're missing a whole plethora of what you're supposed to be doing for your life and your destiny.
Right.
So that's why I don't really watch anybody. I don't have time to watch anybody. I have all the time in the world to continue to keep me growing, evolving, maturing. You never stop evolving and maturing. It does not stop. It's a continuous process. And I don't talk too much about the ordained minister thing, because I'm not trying to go out here and preach all over the world and carry on. But if the opportunity presents itself, I can handle that as well. But my destiny is both in the church and out of the church.
Right.
And you've got to be called to be in both worlds.
That's a
It's got
fact.
to be a destiny for you to be in both worlds. You've got to have gone through something.
Hmm.
You've got to have had a personal experience to actually be in both worlds.
Wow. Wow. You definitely have like the speech of a pastor, like your rhythm,
My
your speech,
goodness.
your speech. It like when pastors speak, ministers speak, they speak in a certain rhythm. They say a
Yes.
certain amount of words and they pause and then you kind of
Oh,
have that
goodness.
you kind of have that rhythm. But anyway,
Oh, goodness.
um going forward, you have been absolutely present in the media space. You've appeared in movies
Yes.
and like you said, as you alluded to earlier, you've
Hmm.
appeared in movies
Yes.
and magazines and
Yes.
that whole thing. Um, what was the or how did you get into that world?
Well, let's go back a few years. I've been an esthetician for I think like almost 10 years,
Okay.
and I've been an instructor for what, about 3 or 4 years. I've been teaching. And so that's a part of what I teach. There's a chapter in the My Lady book that I teach to the students, and it talks about the beauty world, the movie world, the magazine, the world, all of that type of world. And so I think that's where it kind of started, like the attraction came, where people knew that I was a board certified licensed esthetician. I'm a makeup artist as well. And so people just kind of started reaching out and saying, hey, I saw what you post or whatever the case may be. And at that time, I wasn't really posting anything. I wasn't even really doing all that I'm doing now in the last couple of years. I've just was an esthetician. At one time I had a clinic, um, and just posting, my work. So I wasn't really looking to be in magazines or anything of that nature.
Hmm.
How the movie thing came about is I got an email one day, and it was the first movie, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. I was asked to be, in the audience. I was on that set. Um, and so it just kind of kept going after that. And then,
Hmm.
you get to meet people on set. You get to meet a lot of directors, casting directors, a lot
Hmm.
of actors, a lot of actresses. We kind of become a family. So we follow each other on Instagram, and we kind of let each other know, this is taking place, So that's kind of how that went.
Okay. So, um, was it all that you thought it would be? Slash, um, did your perception of it change once you actually experienced it? Was it exactly what you thought it was before you got into it? And then now that you're in it, does your perception of it has your perception of it changed? And I'm talking about, being in entertainment, or was it just
Um,
like you thought it was?
okay, so let me say it like this. Everybody has a perception of something until they experience.
Right.
Because I'm in a place of healedness, wholeness, and maturity, and still continuing to be in that place, I don't worship it. I don't look at it as being, oh, the ultimate career for my life. The career for my life is a board certified licensed esthetician and instructor. Um, the way that I look at it is actually me being on set. I'm able to now share with my students, listen, I was on set for this movie, I did my makeup in this movie. I'm able to kind of correlate my lesson plan with what I do.
Hmm.
It does open up other doors. I will say that, because I'm more than a board certified licensed esthetician. I'm more than an instructor. Of course, I do other things outside of that. And so, um, as far as the perception of it, it's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of hours on set. So a lot of people just kind of look at the finished project of something, but it's
Hmm.
12 and 14 hours in the cold, in the heat. It's not all glitz and glam what people
Right.
think.
Right.
Um, so that's why people really have to know that something is for them, or they're going to get tired, or this is not all what it cracked up to be.
Hmm.
I had no idea that I was actually going to go into this. What I will say, about 13 years ago, someone prophetically prophesied to me, and told me that I would be on television. And I shared all of this on my social media. Every now and then I'll feel led to share with people, my journey, because I
Hmm.
am an introvert. But I was prophetically told that I would be on television 13 years ago. And so it is coming into fruition, but it's coming into fruition in his timing. It's nothing that I'm trying to make happen. I'm not trying to bombard doors down, and I don't do any of that. I just kind of be myself. And that's it goes back to your difference, making a difference and being the actual present,
Right.
um, in people's lives. Another part of the perspective is this: a lot of times when you meet people, I'm at a place where my prayer is, I want people to meet my spirit first.
Come on.
Yes, they're going to see me, the human, the person in front of you. But
Hmm.
once a person is in your presence long enough, you'll be able to discern their spirit.
Right.
And that's just who I am. I shared, I was on set. This was earlier this year. And, you know, I have to say it like this. I guess God used me prophetically with a big actress. She was actually on, I believe it was Fox. It was a show with Morris Chestnut. I can't think of that show. It's not on anymore. But she had a major part in that show, and I don't know. She just came up to me and she was like, "You have something to say to me, don't you?" And I was like, "No, I don't think so." But then I heard what I'm supposed to say to her, and
Hmm.
when I spoke to her, she lost it, because I don't know her life, but God does.
Right.
And you've got to be in a place where God is able to use you wherever you are. You're not so caught up. You said about perspective. My perspective is not trying to be some big star and trying to have a well-known name, although that was prophesied. But if there is popularity coming with the authority of the power that you have, it's for a purpose.
Mm.
And a lot of people, they don't see that. They just in love with the fact that people know them, they see them. Like I said, I'm an introvert. So I have to kind of come out my shell, but I did tell her, thus saith, and she was like, "How did you know?" I said, you know, that's a part of who I am.
Well,
Yeah.
let me ask you this, and this is going to be it sound like an unusual question, and we kind of touched on it before we came
Right.
on. Um, we're looking and we see you.
Yes.
We see you, and it's obvious that you are very, you know, attractive.
Thank you.
um, is that a help or is that a hindrance for you?
It's both.
And the reason why I ask that is that
Mhm.
um we can be very visual,
Yes.
and we'll look at a person, not speak to them, not have a conversation with them,
Correct.
not know them from with quote unquote the can of paint,
That's correct.
but just by looking at them,
Yes.
we'll make certain generalizations about their character, about their personality, about whether even their level of intelligence.
That's right.
Excuse me. So, with that being said, has that has that been a challenge for you? Because somebody might look at you and be like, "Man," somebody that might want to do business with you might
Yeah.
feel like they can get over on you because you know what?
Oh,
She's too pretty. She's probably so caught
mhm.
up in her makeup that she ain't
Oh, I
even gonna
know.
see
Yeah.
that I'm taking
Mhm.
80.
Yeah.
She taking, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? She probably
Yeah.
not even gonna notice.
Hmm.
What's that experience like? Is that a challenge? Has that been a challenge for you?
Um, in the natural, yes, but not in the spirit.
Mm,
Um, in the natural, of course, people are going to judge. I've been judged. I'm going to continue to be judged. That's never going to change.
mhm,
I'm not going to change who I am. Who I am, really, as Tabitha Brown says, deposited in me in my
mm,
sabbatical, in my isolation. So I'm not going to change who I am, but I am something in the spirit. And that's not something that I just kind of put out on Facebook. I don't put that on social media. God has not led me to go into my spirituality
mhm,
in that sense on social media. And I know why, because I've told God, I was like, I don't want to be like, all these other people on social media, with ministry and God. And, I just, I'm like, I'm just kind of waiting on that.
mhm.
But it's both. It can be a negative and a positive. I've even had, even as of recent, um, people treating me different because, yeah, they look at me, but a lot of it, after you look at me, you discern my spirit. And as it's been told, that I'm a force to be reckoned with. This is a powerhouse over here.
Okay.
Don't let the look fool you. But it's not something that I'm serious. It's not something that I actually say to people. I let
Right.
them think, and I know a lot of people are going to hear this tonight and they're going to know it, but I let them think that they've gotten over on me. See, one thing that I do is I discern very keenly and
Mhm.
very strongly, male and female. And so if I see that you shape shifting, I know I have to move different.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
See, that's wisdom. You don't let your left hand know what your right hand doing, or vice versa.
That's right.
So okay, that's fine. They think that I'm not X and Y and Z. I'm gonna let you keep thinking. Um, because I know thoughts can be deceiving as well. You can
Right.
think one thing and it actually is another.
Right. Right.
So it is, how do I say it? Some people say a good and a bad thing. I don't play up my appearance. I don't, I am who I am.
Right.
And I know that I have the right spirit. And when you talk about business, I think one of the things, when you actually become healed, whole, and mature, you only want to do business that's supposed to be doing business with you.
Right.
You don't want to do business with everybody. And I
Right.
think that's the problem that a lot of people have when they don't know who they are. They feel like they have to jump on every bandwagon. They feel like
Mhm.
they got to connect with every name out there, every, I don't feel that way. I don't want to connect with everybody out there because that's not for me.
Right.
See, I'm led spiritually in the entertainment business. I don't go with everything. I don't follow the trend.
Right.
Um, and that's the difference with me. That's why my difference is embraced. That's why I feel like that's why a lot of people are coming. It's because you can feel my spirit. I don't go along with everything. I don't connect. I can't connect with everything. See,
Hmm.
that's the thing. That's the difference. That's
Okay.
what makes your different is when you in your spirit you cannot connect with everybody and everything. And you're not going to be for everybody. I wrote that on my social media a couple of weeks ago. I'm not for everybody and I'm okay with that. You've got to be okay with being okay with what is okay.
Right.
And
Right.
I'm okay with it. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. That is amazing. Um, I know that you know, you allude to spiritual guidance and
Yeah.
in that whole thing. However, do you have who would you say is an influence for you? Or dare I say maybe a mentor for you? Like who do you I mean, I know that you have your own movement and I know
Hmm.
that you have a direction that you choose to go and a
Hmm.
path that you choose to follow.
Right.
But do you have anybody that you um run things by or seek guidance from? Like do you have like who would you say is your biggest influence?
Okay. So that's kind of like a twofold question. I'm going to tell you
Mhm.
why. Oh, the average person would say, um, some name, whether it be their leader or their this or their that, or
Mhm.
um, I have to say it like this because this is where my life is right now. In my sabbatical that God sent me on, which was in isolation,
Mhm.
there was no one for me to talk to except for God Himself.
Okay.
And if if I could say it like this, and this is going to sound so strange because the average person has someone that they, run to and say, but who I am and who God has called me to be,
Mhm.
a lot of people are not going to be able to give me any advice or any type of guidance. And I know that can sound real like, ooh, who she thinks she is? Like, what? But I promise you, in my life, it's not like that.
Right.
See, I'm different because I want God to connect me with somebody. I just don't want to go to somebody because they're whoever they say they are, they're popular or whatever the case may be. That's not
Mhm.
who I am. If I have to stand alone and just trust God, that's what I'll do. And
Okay.
I think a lot of people, they would be better off, not saying that the people that they have in their life don't have a level of wisdom or knowledge to help them in their destiny. That's not what I'm saying.
Mhm.
Um, but there are a lot of people, I admonish a lot of people that are going to listen to this or is listening to this tonight. Definitely seek a personal, close relationship with Yahweh Himself.
Right.
Seek it because He has some interesting ways of showing you and telling you what you need to be doing. One of the things I tell my students is it's important that you have discernment. And discernment doesn't really have anything to do with spirituality because it's a gift.
Right.
And the most unspiritual person, if I can say it like that, has discernment. But it's
Right.
important that you have that. It'll help you make right decisions. Maybe not all the time, but it'll help you as you move forward in your destiny. So at this time, I'm just kind of leaning on God, if that could be the person, and really just kind of strengthening my relationship with Him for Him to lead and guide me as I move in this destiny.
That's amazing. I mean, that's kind of controversial. That's kind of provocative right there.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, if anybody can handle it, I'm sure you can.
But see,
I'm
I
sure
already
you
knew
can.
that it was going to be because people feel like another person can tell you how God has set up your life. And I'm not saying that they cannot,
Hmm.
but I'm saying at this time in my life, at this very moment, that has been a prayer. Okay, God, is there somebody that you want me to connect with? Is there somebody that you want me to see? We've got to start asking God stuff
Mm,
instead of immediately running to a human.
right,
Because we're human, we can always make mistakes. Ain't nobody perfect, and ain't nobody got the level of power uh, that has been stated in the word like He has. Okay, nobody can perfect us. Only the only person that can perfect us is Him. And so, for me, I'm always like, okay, guys, is there somebody that you want me to connect with, or do I need someone, or who is this person? Let Him lead and guide you into all truth, including the person that's supposed to be in your ear.
right,
Not who is popular, not who's popping, not who's trending,
right.
whether it be local, national, or international. Let God lead you to who you're supposed to be connected to.
Amazing, amazing. So you're also an author.
Yes.
Um, Tell me about that journey. Was that always the plan, or was that just a pleasant surprise that came about? You
Well,
know,
over the years, I've written many books. Um, this book I wrote after everything went down in my personal life. It's on my website. It's called Beauty, Mental Health, and Nutrition: Living from the Inside Out. And so I've discovered, as a board certified licensed esthetician, we study beauty, we study mental health, and we study nutrition. So I got the best of the best to help me write this ebook. And it talks about many different mental illnesses and medications, and how it can affect your skin,
mhm.
your nutrition with the medication can affect, your mental state. No, I'm not against medication. I'm not against any of that, but it can affect it. And so that's what led me, to write this ebook, which I've had it written for 2 years. I just put it out this year, but I've had it written for 2 years. And I think people are going to really enjoy the transformational guide that I put together, on my website. I think they're going to enjoy it. They're going to like it.
So what has it personally? I mean, because you everything that you everything that you've expressed so far this evening
Yes.
deals with you pouring out to others, whether it be your students or
Mhm.
your circle or whomever chooses to immerse themselves in the Amber Crystal thing,
Yeah.
in that whole thing.
Yeah.
Um, what does when you go home and you close that door
Hmm.
and you think about the things that you've been able to accomplish up to this point, what does it do for you? Like, how do you, how does it affect you? Like, what do you think, specifically, personally, when
Hmm.
you think about the accomplishments and the things that you've been able, the doors that you've been able to open
Yeah.
for yourself and others? What is that like for you?
Um, this is going to sound weird too, but I'm a weird person. Honestly, it's humbling, and it's a part of the destiny that God has for me. So one thing I am very big on is humility, and making sure that I don't get caught up in the doors that He opens for me, because it can actually change your spirit. And so, where maybe some people would go home and feel good about And it's not that I don't feel good about what has happened in my life. I'm very humbled um, about what's happened in my life, but I don't harp on it. Like I don't come home and no. I mean, I was just in Florida on national TV, and
Mhm.
so I did that and came home. Um, and I know some people are probably gonna think, "Oh my gosh, she doesn't." It's just my temperament. I'm just very introverted, and I think this is why God can trust me. Not saying if you're an extrovert or if you're sanguine, you're wrong for responding in that manner. But I've been like this all my life since a child. My family can tell you, gosh, they're hearing me talk more than they've heard my entire life. Um,
Wow.
so yes, I was very quiet. Oh, especially when I was insecure and didn't know who I was. I didn't even know I was called to speak or preach.
Hmm.
Uh, but speaking of preaching, I preached my first sermon in 2015, and
Okay.
they were astounded because it was like, oh my God, she's just this little quiet little person, but when she gets up, she's I shape shift in a good way now when I get up and either speak to people or preach, but my temperament is just it's just very laid back. So where
Mhm.
a lot of people would be all into what they've accomplished, I'm honestly not. And I think I'm like that because this is a part of what he's called me to be and what he's called me to do. So I just kind of do it and move on.
Wow. That's good. That's really good. And one thing I've noticed since we've been talking, right? You like for instance, you're talking about the book.
Yeah.
You never even really said, the titles of the books or anything like that. That, and but
Yeah.
to me, that just is a testament to the humility. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, you're more or less, and we talked, like I said, we talked a little bit about this
Yep.
offline, but
Yep.
it's more or less about this whole interview is more or less about encouraging people and
That-
empowering them to be their best selves, and that's very admirable. That's very very dope.
I think
Um,
if I could say this, I think just to piggyback off of that, one thing I've learned as a believer and just in ministry as just a whole, it's about the people.
right.
It's not about what I'm doing. It's not about, I mean, I don't know if there's any listeners in here or on here that are believers or into that life. Um,
Absolutely.
if you study who Jesus was, you'll find that everything was about the people.
Hmm.
It was never look at me. You
Right.
got to be careful with the look at me folks. You got to be careful with the look what I'm doing. And if my memory serves me correct, Jesus was very famous. He was very well known from his miracles to my goodness. Everybody knew who he was, but it was always the people. It was always pushing it away from him. It was never me.
Hmm.
And that is the desire that I have. I don't, that's why I feel a little, yeah, I did that. Yeah. But I want to encourage people. I'm called, I have a mandate on my life to empower people to discover the best version of themselves by confronting what's broken in you, what needs to be healed, the level of maturity that needs to be leveled up in you. And
Can you, at
go
this
ahead.
point, I'm sorry to cut
No,
you
please
off.
go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. No, you're good.
I want to throw it back on you.
Okay.
Um, at this point in your career, in this process,
Hmm.
do you feel like you have a firm grasp of who you are at this point, or do you think that or is there ever a moment? Is that even possible? Is it always a constant journey to discover and learn yourself? Like, how do you see yourself? Do you feel like you found your most ideal self?
I do feel like I found myself, but we are forever evolving.
Right.
We're ever changing. We should never. One of the things I said on television this week was God took me through metamorphosis.
Hmm.
And if you know anything about a butterfly being a cocoon, he's in, or she is in, kind of like a dark night of the soul. Like in that cocoon, they can't see anything. They don't know what's going on. They can't even see their change. But
Mm,
when they come out, they know that they've changed. Why? Because they've got the wings to fly.
right.
And there's nobody there that's telling them, okay, go ahead and fly now. They already know how to do it. So
Mm,
we evolve in stages. But
right.
guess what? God gave me a revelation about that. Even when they actually fly, they still have to go through metamorphosis. Why? Because where you was in that cocoon and when you came out and you started flying, you're going to dimensions when you start flying in the air, right?
Right.
So you
Right.
cannot use that metamorphosis where you was to actually get the wings. You got to keep evolving.
Wow. Wow.
So
Absolutely.
anybody that looks at themselves as I have arrived, they're dangerous.
Mm,
They're
mm,
dangerous. Whether they're spiritual or not, they're dangerous. I'm always going to keep evolving and changing and moving and growing. It's never going to stop. I believe the Bible even talks about going from glory to glory. So that means glory changes.
right.
It never stays the same. It doesn't say, "Oh, well, this glory is fine now. I don't need to go any more glorious. I don't need to get any more glorious." No, it goes from glory to glory. So we should be evolving and changing as well.
That's amazing. Um, I usually ask this to artists, but I'm going to ask you.
Okay.
Um, do you see what we see?
I do not, and that's good. I'm glad you asked me that because that has been my prayer. Now, let me put some wisdom to that
Okay.
because to a certain extent you've got to see where you're going. You got to see who you are to where you just can't just be blinded. So I'm
Right.
not blinded, but my prayer was, God, I don't want to see what people see because I don't want to get caught up in that.
Hmm.
I don't want to get it's easy to get caught up in people seeing how great thou art.
Right.
Oh, it's easy. I'm just so serious. It's so easy. You see it all the time.
Right.
People get
Right.
caught up in how great thou art. Like, oh, you got all these likes, you've got all these followers, you've got all this, you got all that. That's fine. But one of the things I've learned with that is, for me, I did not. Well, let me say this. A couple of years ago, God shared with me. He said, Amber, I'm not going to establish you on social media. Now, a couple of years ago, social media was not that popular.
Right.
Like, I mean, it's popular now. Like everybody, there's so many people that are being established on social media. But he
Hmm.
told me that, and I didn't know what that meant then, but I know what it means now. Just in the last couple of years, people have been seeing the progress and what I've been doing. And the years before that, they would see me in a magazine here or there. It wasn't like really what I'm doing now. So I wasn't established on social media. So I'm not looking for social media to make me anything because that's not what he told me. Now,
Right.
if that's what, if that's for your business and your life, then that's for your business, but it's not for me. And I don't want people to feel like because they don't have this, because they don't have that, because they're not connected to this or that nothing's going to happen in their life that they desire. I'm a living witness. That's definitely not true.
Right.
So I don't see it, but that's been my prayer not to see it because I don't want to get caught up in it.
Wow. I yeah, I usually ask that question to artists in reference to their voice.
Yeah.
Like, do you hear what we hear? Do you think that you are as good as we think we think that you are?
Um,
Um,
okay. Okay. So let me say, let me answer this way. I do know that I have a level of wisdom And I do know that I am profound. And it's not even in my sound, it's in my experiences.
Hmm.
It's in my suffering that I've gone through of why I can say and just put things together so profoundly. Um, and I would say that's pretty much all I see. Of course, I am not well tonight, but I have been singing since the age of 14 years old.
Mm.
So I sing as well. I
Come
feel
on.
like
What? I guess the question is, what don't you do? But go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. No.
I've been singing since I've been 14. Yeah, I'm 44. So yeah, I've been singing a long time.
Hmm.
Um, I feel like that's going to come out a lot in my ministry, though. I
Hmm.
feel like that's going to come out a lot in my ministry. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. I just have a couple more questions for you.
Okay.
First one is, what would you say is the biggest misconception that people have about you?
Um, that I have not made mistakes, and
Mm.
I just look like I have it all together. Also, another misconception is they see what I post as far as the glory, but they don't know the story.
Mm.
A lot of people don't post their warfare, but I go through a lot of warfare behind closed doors. Big misconception. That's why I'm skilled in warfare,
Mm.
because I go through it in my personal life. And when you are called, when your difference has a demand on it, you're going to go through warfare. It ain't never going to be easy.
Nice.
And so that is the misconception of people seeing me, and I guess what I post, and as you stated, how I look or whatever the case may be. I go through a lot of warfare.
Mm.
Yes.
Well, this will be my last official question. This is a question that I ask all my guests.
Okay.
So when I ask it, I just want you to take a moment, think about it, and give me the most honest and transparent answer that you can possibly give me. Okay.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So here's the question: what would have to happen in your life, if it has not happened already, for you to consider your life a success? What does success look like for you specifically?
Mm. Yeah, that's good. Um, Let me say this, and then I'm gonna answer it. Most people would say, um, I would need more money. You know, um, I like to pay all my bills. Blah blah blah. Which, I mean, I think everybody would say that if they're not like a
Mhm,
millionaire or anything. But
mhm,
success to me is when I have touched all of the people that I'm called to touch, and their lives have actually changed.
wow.
That's success.
Okay.
See, a lot of people have a misconception of success. So you done got me started, and we ain't got but 7 minutes left. No, less than 6 minutes left now. See, a lot of people look at having the career, the money, the car, the relationship, the connections of big names. I've met big names, but I don't deem that as success. And they're successful people to
Right.
the world standard.
Right.
But success is when you can actually impart and change somebody's life. Jesus was very successful. Okay. He
Mhm,
changed lives. And we're talking about changing lives for the right reason and the right motive.
right.
Changing lives so you can be popping and you can be trending and you can be popular.
Right.
There is an accountability and a responsibility that comes with notoriety.
Right.
And if you can't love people when you're in their presence, when your presence, it does not become a presence anymore when it's a bad presence. It
Mhm,
ain't different no more. You just like everybody else. I was in the
right.
airport in Buffalo, New York this week, and there was a big time actor in the airport, and he was talking to a young lady, and the guy noticed who he was, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, that's that." I mean, I knew who he was, but and he was like, "Can I get a picture?" Blah blah blah. The way that he handled him, I was embarrassed
Mm.
because I've done movies. It was like, it was nonchalant. It was, gosh, if I take a picture with you, I got to take it with everybody. Then you take it with everybody that you can take it with. I have a problem, and I understand that we have to respect, and people are tired, and
Hmm.
but that's where discernment comes in.
Right.
You would have made that person's day. You would have been like that. I mean, this is your career. These are people looking at your stuff. Like, you don't treat people like that.
Hmm.
You don't
Hmm.
have this. Uh, but you was talking to a young lady, so it wouldn't have hurt you to take a quick picture, and nobody else noticed who he was. That's the crazy part.
Wow.
So it was like you could have took a picture with him, and nobody else would have said, "Oh, let me get one," because nobody didn't know who he was. He was all kind of covered up, and he just noticed one person. So those are little things that I think about when you're speaking of success. It's like, okay, God, whatever level that you have me, please don't ever have me acting like that. Let me, if someone stops me, I mean, I was in Colombia, and I did a speaking engagement, what, 2, 3 weeks ago,
Hmm.
and I was arriving. So when I came to the bathroom to change, they rushed in and was like, "Wait, you got some people here to see you." I said, "Really?" Like, my demeanor was like, "Really? Like me?"
Yeah.
Like, that was my thing. Huh?
Right.
And
Right.
I changed and put my stuff up, and I said, could you show me, where they are?" And someone, actually was a celebrity makeup artist, that recommended that they come and hear me speak.
Hmm.
And when I went over there to them, I hugged them. They wanted to take pictures with me. I felt a little weird because I'm like, who do they think I am? Like, what?
Yeah.
Really? Me? Like, it was
Yeah.
it was very shocking, I guess. But no, I talked with them before I spoke. You know, they actually sat around the stage as I spoke. Like, it's
Right.
all about loving people. It's all about dealing with people how you want to be treated. So that's success to me, when people's lives are changed.
Awesome. That's amazing. That's amazing. So, if somebody wants to get in touch with you, for whatever reason,
Yes,
maybe they want to be a part of the movement, maybe they want to sow into it, invest in it, maybe they want to
that would
get
be
you
great.
advice on, or whatever the case may be, how can they get in touch with you?
All right, so I do have a website, www.the, that's THEE beautycoach.com. All of my information is on there. I'm Instagram. I have an Instagram at the Beauty Coach, and it's THEE. And then on Facebook, I have two pages. I have a public figure page, which is the Beauty Coach, and then I have Amber Crystal, the real, excuse me, the real Amber K is my personal Facebook page. So that's how you can get in contact with me.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Miss Amber, I really appreciate you coming on to the platform. Um, I want to extend an open invitation to you, whenever, if you ever have anything that you want to promote, anything that you want to talk about, anything, whatever. I actually do panels about this very thing. Like, we
Oh,
have
really?
people, yeah, we will have like a makeup artist,
Okay.
a doctor,
Oh, wow.
um, every represent every facet of it,
Gotcha.
from the spiritual to the
Mm-hmm.
actual medical to
Yes.
psychological, that whole thing.
Yeah.
And we just kind of discuss this type of thing, and
Yeah.
it gets kind of intense sometimes. It's kind of funny
Yeah.
sometimes too, because anytime you talk about beauty, it kind of spills into dating and relationships and
True.
but that whole thing. So, like I said, I would love to have you on one of those panels
Definitely.
at some point.
Yeah.
But again, this is an open invitation to you.
Yeah.
Anytime you want to come on and talk, or whatever the case may be, you are welcome.
Definitely. Thank you.
Absolutely. Do you have any last words before we sign off?
Just gosh, when you find yourself, that's when the doors will open up. And sometimes you've got to dismantle, disconnect, and detox from any person, place, or thing, an idea that keeps you from being who you're called to be.
That's what's up. uh, again, I want to thank you and I appreciate you for coming on. And again, you are welcome. Consider this an open invitation.
Thank you.
Um, I want you to be, I wish you much blessings on everything that you have going on, and
Thank
even the things that you have not even thought about yet. I
you.
wish
Yes.
you much blessings on it. Thank you again. You have a blessed night and an awesome weekend.
You do too.
All right. Thank you. Okay, there you have it. Another great interview with another great guest. I want to shout out Miss Amber Krystal again. Um, she was very candid, very honest, very transparent, and that is always a plus for me. I hope you learned something. I definitely did, and I encourage you to always seek God and in all that you do. If there's a vision, if there's a plan, if there's something that God is showing you, please walk in it because you got people that are assigned to you that are waiting for you to make that move. So make that move. I encourage you to make that move. Um, that's all I got to say on that. I'm about to do another interview, guys. So you guys stick around. I'm about to do another interview tonight. We're doing two. So stick around. I thank you for coming on and watching. Please tell a friend to watch the playback on YouTube. Hit the like and subscribe buttons. We're trying to get those subscribers up. Yeah, and just share it. Just blow it up. Blow it up. Blow it up. All right. So with that being said, you guys have an amazing night and an amazing weekend. Let's take a walk. And like I said, I'm about to do another one. So stick around.